Who is it? What business does it have here? Does it know me by name? I only know it by heart. Skjel the Grey, they call me, but you can call me Horace. As for you, you are the one they call Skjel the Pink. That is what I should know. That is my business.
Skjel the Pink. I wish my mother had thought of that first.
Mother knows best, but not yours. You should have abandoned her. If your mother was a necessity, your name would be invention. It isn't. It's Skjel.
You're a skeleton. How is it that you can talk?
I'm a skeleton. How is it I can talk? That's how. Listen and repeat. Just like history. Fine history we've got here. Dwarven make, am I right? But I'm sworn to repeat some things more than others. Like, I've got a bad feeling about this. Or, make it quick. And,
Doesn't that limit what you can say?
Well, for variety, sometimes I say, make it quick. I've got a bad feeling about this curved sweet roll from Hammerfell. It all makes more luck than sense. And it's better to be lucky than stuck doing guard duty. Just ask my cousin.
Curved sweet roll. Do you mean curved swords?
Like the ones from Hammerfell? No, that's not what I mean at all. Don't question me. I've been hunting and fishing in these parts for years. In fact, the last thing I remember was hunting and fishing during that one year. You know, the red one.
Yes, I remember the red year fondly. Although I prefer white wine myself.
Of course, Skjel. I forgot about that time you drank 365 bottles of vintage red wine as part of a bet with your liver. Your face was pink throughout the whole ordeal, but I refer to that red molehill that melodramatic people like to call a mountain. See, I was living in Morrowind at the time, training to be a court... what do you call those things? With the robes and the magic spells.
A court wizard?
No, that's not it. Not enough bells on their hats. In any case, I was applying to be a court... something or other. A significant other, perhaps. Significant given the time. There was a sprinkle of gloom dust in Morrowind, but I knew my act in a warm fire would get that chill out of the air.
What do you mean by a warm fire?
Well, specifically, I would juggle 3 fireballs. Then I would fling them over my head and swallow them one by one as they fell. Then I would make a face, as if I had ingested something incredibly hot. Then rush over to a flagon of water and douse it on my head.
And this is supposed to be funny?
Indeed. First era comedy at its finest. Of course, I don't claim to be the best jester in Skyrim. Yorlin's armpits have that honor. All I ask is for a fair chance. Luckily, that chance would come soon, as in hundreds of years ago, when crimson painted the sky.
So you're a jester. I love jesters.
I know your kind, always laughing about. That makes you my favorite type of customer. Would you like to see me juggle a fireball? First, you'll have to confiscate any magic goods I'm carrying, just to make sure I don't have a few scrolls up my sleeve. On second thought, I don't want you touching my things. They're locked away for a reason.
Why do they call you Skjel the Grey?
That's a bad question. A better question would be why they no longer call me Skjel the Blonde.
Why don't they call you Skjel the Blonde?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. It must be the hair. Once upon a time, my hair was the color of the sun in old paintings. Then it was gray. Then it fell out. That is to say, it all fell into place and fell onto the floor. That's why I mind the dirt. It knows where the blondes are buried.
Then I shall call you Skjel the Blonde, and together we will mine this earth.
Excellent. I think you'll be glad you made this decision. After all, the ore veins are plentiful, but they're as weak as the Emperor's cousin. Strike them down and we will strike it rich, because there's honest pay for honest work, and God forbid we don't want any of that.
What manner of existence are you?
That's hard to say. I used to be mortal, but I prefer not to be. Lightly boned means light on my feet. I like that. It happened after I was chased out of Morrowind for making everyone laugh, and I lost half my face in the process.
Where did you go after you left Morrowind?
Well, they say everything in Tamriel flows to Blackmarsh. I'm in everything, so I flowed there. Sloth Point, I think they called it. Twisted trees, a matrix of vines, and flying pieces of black grain. So I knelt down by a particularly gruesome tree, took off my boots, and let my feet fight the air for who smelled worse. Then I took a nap. The last thing I remember before waking up was the wind swimming through my toes, then nipping at them, then eating them. A conjurer woke me up just as the flesh flies were making dinner out of my heel. I said, "Hail, summoner, conjure me up a warm grave, would you?" Instead, he just rifled through my tunic and ran off. I hope he wasn't planning any thievery, as he would have been vastly disappointed.
Morrowind? Blackmarsh? And where did you lose your arms? Elsewhere?
Don't be ridiculous. I lost them in Valenwood, along with my chest, on a patch of growing mold. Perhaps you'd like me to tell you about that, too?
Naturally.
Well, I remember walking through the forest, a river of sweat on my brow. The more I wiped it, the more my gloves started to drown. So I removed my gloves and I lay in a patch of moss. But I was still hot, so I took off my trousers, too. Then my tunic started chafing, so off that went. Then I started to notice tiny worms of smoke rising from my chest. It felt like a flame spell was scorching my back. I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, watch the magic." But the mole did not listen. I would learn a thing or two the hard way. The first thing was that the glow was caused by some sort of acid. The second was that acid burns.
Perhaps you were a skilled healer if you managed to survive such ordeals.
I've got a lot of respect for the Restoration School. Skyrim could use a lot more valid schools of magic. But if I were a healer, I would have healed my head, instead of tumbling head over heels. Somersaults are my trade, and cartwheels. By Ismir's eyebrows, I do love cartwheels. Such transcendent comedy.
That doesn't explain how you've become what you are.
It doesn't? Well, it shouldn't. I am what I am because of a healthy diet and daily exercise. There is no other explanation.
I want to go back to my earlier questions.
Fine, go. And don't come back to these.
What exactly are you doing in here?
Well, it's a short story. Let me begin with Chapter 1 of 396,000. It all began when I was lying about in a cave, minding my own business plan to start an underground skooma operation. The first few weeks it was doing rather well, but I had to keep my eyes open because I knew the orcs would swoop down at any time.
What did you do?
Indeed. They take to mining like stormcloaks to bigotry. And sure enough, they came. Given I was outnumbered, I decided to play dead, which is usually a dead giveaway that someone had died. Namely, me. In fact, one of the orcs marched right on over to me. I thought he was going to disrespect the law and disrespect me. Only he casted his fancy magic somewhere else, right into the ore deposit. It turns out he wasn't trying to kill me, he was trying to make me rich. Because when he chipped at the vein, out came diamonds. But then the sneak thief tried to keep the gems for himself. Didn't make an oyster of difference when I leapt up and scared him.
Interesting. What happened in Chapter 2?
You mean the one in which our hero is greeted by the legendary Skjel the Pink? Why, that's being written as we speak. Some people like to write stories. I like to live them, and then write them down. It ensures the work lacks authenticity. After all, it's not exact truth. Certain embellishments had to be written in. Standard tropes like dragons, airships, and a hero with actual flesh.
Follow me. I need your help.
Right away. No lollygagging.
I once heard a story of a man who ate a soul gem.
I can
and
make all
gained
your
knowledge
problems
of
with the
intricate
men
machine
go away,
workings.
but it'll cost you. What do you say?
Unrelated, how do you think soul gems taste?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Let me get out of your way. Rip them open.
Yes.
Mistake, you rat! The last of them.
Yes, Persil.
Have you ever thought about finding yourself a body?
Never. The more of you there is, the more you have to protect. And I'm not looking to protect myself. I want to deal some damage. But this doesn't mean there isn't a way. Mm-hmm.